Again. Thus I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Preta, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. I chose this verse because it is an essential verse to understand the flow of thought that Krishna is sharing with us in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The purport. According to the Nirukti, or the Vedic dictionary, Sankhya means that which describes things in detail, and Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul. And yoga involves controlling the senses. Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification, forgetting his prime duty. He wanted to cease fighting because he thought that by not killing his relatives and kinsmen, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins, the sons of Dhritarashtra. In both ways, the basic principles were for sense gratification. Happiness derived from conquering them and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive are both on the basis of personal sense gratification, even at the sacrifice of wisdom and duty. Krishna therefore wanted to explain to Arjuna that by killing the body of his grandfather, he would not be killing the soul proper. And he explained that all individual persons, including the Lord himself, are eternal individuals. They were individuals in the past, they are individuals in the present, and they will continue to remain individuals in the future, because all of us are individual souls eternally. We simply change our bodily dress in different matters, but actually we keep our individuality even after liberation from the bondage of material dress. An analytical study of the soul and the body has been very graphically explained by Lord Krishna. And this descriptive knowledge of the soul and the body from different angles of vision has been described here as Sankhya in terms of the Nirukti dictionary. This Sankhya has nothing to do with Sankhya philosophy of the atheist Kapila. Long before the impostor Kapila Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expounded in Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord Kapila, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explained it to his mother Devahuti. It is clearly explained by him that the Purush, or the Supreme Lord, is active and that he creates by looking over the Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. The description in the Vedas indicates that the Lord glanced over Prakriti, or nature, and impregnated it with atomic individual souls. All these individuals are working in the material world for sense gratification, and under the spell of the material energy, they are thinking of being enjoyers. This mentality is dragged to the last point of liberation when the living entity wants to become one with the Lord. This is the last snare of Maya, or sense gratificatory illusion. And it is only after many, many births of such sense gratificatory activities that the great soul surrenders unto Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, thereby fulfilling the search after the absolute truth. Arjuna has already accepted Krishna as his spiritual master by surrendering to him. Sisyastyam sadimam tvam papanam. Consequently, Krishna will now tell about the working process in Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga. or in other words, the practice of devotional service only for the sense gratification of the Lord. The Buddha Yoga is clearly explained in chapter 10, verse 10, as being the direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. But such communion does not take place without devotional service. One who is therefore situated in devotional in devotional or transcendental loving service to the Lord, or in other words, in Krishna consciousness, attains this stage of Buddha Yoga by special grace of the Lord. The Lord says, therefore, that only those who are always engaged in devotional service out of transcendental love, does he award the pure knowledge of devotion in love. In that way, the devotee can reach him easily in the ever blissful kingdom of God. Thus, Buddha Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord. And the word Sankhya mentioned here has nothing to do with the atheistic Sankhya Yoga enunciated by the imposter Kapila. One should not therefore misunderstand that Sankhya Yoga mentioned herein has any connection with the atheistic Sankhya. Nor did that philosophy have any influence during that time. Nor would Lord Krishna care to mention such godless philosophical speculations. Here, Sankhya philosophy is described by Lord Kapila in Srimad Bhagavatam, but even that Sankhya has nothing to do with the current topic. Here, Sankhya means analytical description of the body and the soul. Lord Krishna made an analytical description of the soul just to bring Arjuna to the point of Buddha Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Lord Krishna's Sankhya and Lord Kapila's Sankhya, as described in the Bhagavatam, are one and the same. They are all Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna said, therefore, that only the less intelligent class of men make a distinction between Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Sankhya Yoga pitach pala padavanti pad napanditata. That's in chapter 5. Of course, atheistic yoga has nothing to do with Bhakti Yoga. Yet the unintelligent claim that the atheistic Sankhya Yoga is referred to in the Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore understand that Buddha Yoga means to walk in Krishna consciousness, in the full bliss and knowledge of devotional service. When he works for the satisfaction of the Lord only, however difficult such work may be, is working under the principles of Buddha Yoga and finds himself always in transcendental bliss. But such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically by the grace of the Lord, and thus his liberation is complete in itself without making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. There is much difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive results, especially in the matter of sense gratification, for achieving a result in terms of family or material happiness. Buddha Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of work that we perform. I read the verse once again, going back. Thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results, O son of Pritha. When you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of work. Om Aryana Timranasya Jananjala Shalakaya Sakshune Tamyena Tasmai Shivovena Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Staptam Yena Bhuttaleshvam Rupakadhamyam Dadanti Svapadantikam Vandeham Shivo Shiyoda Padakamanam Shigom Vaishnavam Sham Shri Rupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabdutam Parjanasaitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Param Saganalita Shivishakam Jitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Jatpate Kopesha Kopakanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanshana Gaura Kirati Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutadevi Panamama Haripriya Vanka Vishati Pasnave Visha Patnam Pavana Vyo Vaishnavyo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavina. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvanya Pachani. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatari. Srila Prabhupada ki. Arjuna is an eternal associate of Lord Krishna. Prityanaya sadhanam vinasaya suduskritam is one of the reasons for the appearance of Krishna in this world 5,000 years ago is to protect the devotees and to annihilate the demons, especially these kings who want to rule for their own sense gratification and not out of duty. And the Kurus, most of the Kurus were in that case. They transgressed all the principles of religion. They tried to usurp the kingdom, the legal inheritance of the Pandavas, tried to disrobe Draupadi and exile them to the forest, tried to poison them, Bhima, and tried to burn them in a house of shellac. That so many ways they tried to murder the Pandavas. So they were criminals. That a police officer must go after the criminals and not think, oh, I'm soft-hearted. I'm not going to arrest this person because he's a family member of my family member, and therefore he will never get the job anymore. He get a criminal record. I'm not going to arrest him. No, the police officer has to do his duty. Arjuna had to do his duty. But in the first chapter, Arjuna says to Krishna, please, Krishna, bring my chariot between the two armies so that I can see with whom I have to fight, that I can see all these supporters of the evil Duryodhana. And Krishna, that this line, this battle, the front line of the battlefield is like 80 miles. And where does Krishna put the chariot? It's just before Duryodhana, before Bhishma Devi's grandfather, before Dronacharya, his teacher. And when Arjuna sees them, it's something breaks in its heart. And he says to Krishna, how can I fight with them? Bhishma Dev has raised me, my grandfather, that Dronacharya, my teacher. Would you kill your teacher, Sandipani Muni, Krishna? How can I kill them? That and gaining a kingdom. And it says in a manner, it is said that in the Manu Samhita that relatives cannot be killed. That anyway, it says in, I think it's said in the Artha Shastra there, it said that yes, transgressors should be killed. But it says, yes, Manu Samhita is, Dharma Shastra is higher. The Dharma Shastra says you cannot kill your family members. So he says to Krishna, it's sinful to kill your family members. I will occur sin and to win a kingdom, if I kill all those with whom I want to enjoy the kingdom, how can I enjoy that? I see just misfortune. The opposite is going to happen from what I want. And so millions of Kshatriyas will be killed on the battlefield. So many widows will be there. And the population will become mixed. And the progeny will be degraded. There will be Varna Sankara. He gives one argument after another. It looks like good arguments and based on scripture. He's arguing Dharma Shastra is higher than Artha Shastra. Artha Shastra said transgressors should be killed. The Dharma Shastra says the relatives should never be killed. It's like a bit like you come with your car at a crossroad, and in the middle of the crossroad is a police officer who is arranging the traffic. But there are also the traffic lights. Traffic lights are on red, but the police officer in the middle says, "Come." Who has priority? The police officer. But Arjun comes at the crossroad. It's red, and the police officer said, "Come." And he says, no, it's red. I'm not coming. So Arjun is mentioning all these shastras and this knowledge, but the origin of all these rules and knowledge is before him, the greatest authority. And he says, you must fight, Arjun. It's weakness of heart that in the first verse of the second chapter, Krishna says, yes, Arjun's compassion is compassion for the body, not for the soul. It's compassion for a drowning man and to save his coat. So Arjun looks like, from a mundane perspective, a nice man. But Krishna, his reaction is very heavy. He says, but where are these impurities come into your heart, Arjun? It does not fit an Aryan, a person who knows the values of life. That it's Rida Darbalyam, weakness of heart. And Arjun becomes confused. He said, he makes a few more arguments. He said, how can I kill my teacher and my grandfather, that they are worthy of my worship? So Arjuna decides, I will not fight Krishna. I don't see it anymore. But it says, Arjuna says, I surrender to you, Krishna. I don't see it anymore. I'm confused. You tell me what to do. And then Krishna tells him, Arjuna, you are a fool. That's the first chastisement. Krishna takes the role of spiritual master. You are a fool. Yeah, because a wise man is not concerned with the living or the dead. He says, because all these kings here, you and me, Arjuna, have existed in the past, are existing now, and will never cease to exist in the future. So that's the first lesson in spirituality. We are eternal. We are the soul. But then Krishna does the good news. In the next verse, it gives the bad news. Deinos minchatati kaumam charvanam chara tatati antarapaptir tiastatra. He said, but you have a body, Arjuna, and your body changes from youth to adult, and then old age, and then it vanishes. It changes the body, but you are within the body are not changing. And that you must become a Dhira, Arjuna. You must tolerate all these changes. And that's our first instruction, and a very important, also for chanting of the holy name. We must be more tolerant than a tree. First instruction, Matras Pastukantya Sitishna Sukadukadakamapi Natistam Stiksha Svabharata. Arjuna, you should tolerate, like one tolerates the heat in the summer, the cold in the winter. You should tolerate this happiness and this stress. That's for the body, Arjuna, not for the soul. You tolerate it. Because Yamina Pyatatanti Ete Pusham Pushakta Agama Pagina Natyas. Sam Dukaskam Shipnam Somi Tatvaya Kalapati. If you can tolerate this happiness and this stress, Arjuna, you are ready for liberation. And then Krishna speaks about this Sankhya philosophy, which is here in the purport so discussed. Sankhya philosophy is now a detailed analysis Krishna gives of all the qualities of the soul, our real identity. That Krishna says the body is like a garment for the soul. That the soul cannot be killed by any weapons in your chariot, Arjuna. You cannot kill the soul. That you think you are going to kill Bhishmadev? No. Bhishmadev as a very old body. He was already 140 or 120 years. People lived longer at that time. That he was very old. That so if you kill him, he get a fresh body. It's much better than the old body. There's no reason to lament. That this soul, Krishna says, has never come into being. That it exists now and it will never cease to stop in the future, he says. That so it gives all this knowledge of the soul, and he says, yeah, this soul is amazing. That the soul is amazing. The people who understand the soul are also amazing, because many people, although this knowledge is there in Bhagavad Gita, cannot understand it, that they are not a body. That it's amazing. It's amazing that the soul is in an ant, the same soul is in a big elephant. Very amazing. And that so then, after explaining that, Krishna goes back to Arjuna's objections he made. That is, Krishna said, because Arjuna before said, when I win a kingdom, then I will not be able to enjoy it. That and Arjuna says, if you win a kingdom, you win the battle, you will enjoy a kingdom. But if you lose the battle, you will go to heaven. Krishna gives a win-win option. And he said, you should do your duty as a Kshatriya, because dishonor is worse than death for a Kshatriya. That don't think that Duryodhana and all the other courts, the great Maharajas, will think, oh, Arjuna is so a good person, feeling compassion for others, and therefore he left the battlefield. No, they will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear of your life. So you should do your duty as a Kshatriya, but not just doing your duty. That you do your duty in a certain consciousness. And that is explained in the verse today. So Krishna before gave all this knowledge of the soul, that you are the soul. Now, Buddhi Yoga means acting as a soul and not as the body. And Prabhupada, in the purpose, this is devotional service, Buddhi Yoga. That he brings it immediately to the highest platform. Acting as a spirit soul is devotional service. Very important. And that is what Buddhi Yoga is also in a later verse in Bhagavad Gita. Verse 10:10. Krishna says, Tesham satayutnam bhajapi devukam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. If you serve me with love, a little love, I'm giving you Buddhi Yoga. Self-realized knowledge how to act as a spirit soul. Because that's self-realized knowledge. What is self-realized knowledge? Tesham en van de kampertam amma jnana chamtama nasichamatma bhavastu ganyatipenavashvata. Krishna says, with the lamp of knowledge, I enter the heart of my devotee and remove all the contamination, so that the devotee again identifies with the soul and not as the body. To act as a soul, you must identify with the soul. That's not easy. We are, and for many lifetimes, we are thinking we are the body, and then you have to act as a soul, but you must know what is the soul. So Arjuna, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you should act as a soul. You should do your duty in devotional service with that consciousness. Now, Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita to different levels of transcendentalists. Krishna is compassionate by nature. He wants to inspire everyone to make advancement on his level, even those who are not accepting Krishna as the Supreme Lord. And therefore, he gives different yoga systems called Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Astanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. So these are, but Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Astanga Yoga have intermediate goals. That's not a final goal. But he wants also those who are not accepting as the Lord, that he wants them to make also spiritual advancement. The Jnanis, mostly their goal of life is Brahman. We are spiritual energy. And merging with that spiritual energy, Brahman, that's becoming one with the absolute truth. That are the impersonalists. mostly the jnanis. That's their goal. And then you have the yogis. The yogis, what's their goal? Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Chitatmana Prasantasma Paramatma Samahita. When it's to control the mind. And when the mind is fully peaceful, then one finds the super soul in the heart. This is the bona fide yogi, their goal. And the bhaktas, their goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, developing love for Krishna. That's their goal. It's explained in the Bhagavatam, these three goals, also in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavatam, it is said that there you find this Vadante tat tatvavitas tatvam jnanam advayam brahmiti paramatmiti bhagavan iti sapyate. The learned sages have concluded that the absolute truth has three features, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But in Brahman, you realize only the Sat feature of the absolute truth, eternal. And in the Paramatma feature, also the Sat, but also Chit, some knowledge of the absolute truth. But in the Bhagavan feature, if we realize the Supreme Lord, we have Sat Chit Ananda. Ananda, spiritual bliss, that's what we all want. We want to love and be loved. That is what we all want. In the material world, we don't attain that. Only in relation to Krishna we attain that full love. And that's Ananda, that is happiness without interruption. And that is the goal of life. But not everyone accepts that. Because Krishna is concerned with these yogis and these jnanis, that they also make advancement. Because at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarvadam Prachya, Mam Kam Samvacham Sam Sarvapabhyo. That he says, Maksarima Machitra, he said, give up all these yoga systems, just surrender to me, just do this bhakti. So he could have made Bhagavad Gita very short and cut all these chapters about karma yoga, about jnana yoga and ashtanga yoga, cut them out and go immediately to the conclusion that so Krishna here he starts to explain how to act as a spirit soul. That and he gives a lot of knowledge in this second chapter. That he explains the process of falling down. Dayate Vishyapacham Sangas Tispachayate Sangasayate Kamakoda Vichayate. One becomes attracted to things in this world by meditation, want to enjoy. Then the so-called enjoyment comes, but it does not meet our expectations. We become frustrated, we become angry, and so on. But to come out of it, Krishna says, Param nivarta, Param dristva nivartate. One must have a higher taste. And it's very dangerous. One of the roaming senses can kill you. So therefore, you must do your duty, Arjuna, without being attached to the results. That's karma yoga. Karma yoga may not believe in Krishna, maybe in Brahma, but they perform karma yoga. Karma yoga you have on different levels. The lowest level is performing your duty in the Varnashram Dharma. And you may not believe in God, that's okay, you do your duty. But the whole system is meant for Haritoshanam, for pleasing the Supreme Lord. So you are in the system. That's an indirect process. But Karma Yoga has different levels. And the next level is 3.9 of Bhagavad Gita. That Shakhnartha Karma Noyata Lokayam Karma Bandhanam. You do your duty for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, for Vishnu. And then you don't have karmic reactions. Because that was one of the points Arjuna made. I'm going to get karmic reactions. That I'm going to suffer. I'm going to hell. No, Krishna says, if you don't do your duty, you get karma. If you do your duty, you don't get karma. So that's the opposite. And then further, Arjuna is asking what are the symptoms of such a stita prajna devotee, a devotee who is fixed in this buddhi yoga. And until the end of the chapter, second chapter, it gives so many qualities of a stita prajna. But this karma yoga, the lowest level is doing your duty, acting out of duty. The second, so it means without attachment to the result. It's not easy to do that. That devotional service is most simple. But then the next level is Shagnarta Karma Noyata Lukram Karma Bandhana. You do your duty and you give the result to Krishna. It means while doing your duty, you may not think of Krishna, but okay, you give it to Krishna, the result. But then Krishna later will say a higher form of karma yoga is Yat Karus, Yat Asnas, Yat Rus, Dadas, Yat Yat Tapasyas Kantya, Tat Kushmamat Arpanam. Whatever you do in your work, whatever charity you do, whatever tapasya, do it as an offering to me. So Krishna says, you do your job itself for me. Not just the result giving, also the job. And then it says, Patram Pushpampyam, Yoni Bhaktya Prayachati. That it says, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, that it says, offer me a flower, a fruit, and some water out of love. So that is Bhakti Yoga. That's the highest Karma Yoga. And there Karma Yoga becomes Bhakti Yoga. But that's the goal of the whole thing. So Prabhupada in this verse that we discussed today says Buddhi Yoga is Bhakti Yoga. That's the purpose. And because the others, they have all intermediate goals. Because if you do your act out of duty for Krishna, no, if you just act out of duty, karmanivata karsti mafalis kadachana. There's no Krishna, you don't think of Krishna. You may be an atheist, but you do your duty without attachment to the results. You don't have reactions. You don't get karma. And that purifies you a bit. And the karma yogi then, after some time, a little, because the soul is in the body, and from the soul comes consciousness. The pure consciousness is called Krishna consciousness, but it's covered by the modes of nature. And by doing that, a little covering is removed. And then they start to think, who am I? First thing, why am I suffering? Rupa Goswami said, Sanatana Goswami said, why am I suffering? Why am I in this world? Who am I? Good question. And then they come to the next yoga, Jnana Yoga. Because Karma Yoga has two qualities. It's action, Karma Yoga, and renunciation. You don't want results. But then they become jnanis. They want to know who they are. That most people are not interested in it. So Karma Yoga is good. They come to the point of thinking, who am I? And then they become jnanis. They study Vedanta. to understand the difference between matter and spirit. I'm spirit. I'm not my hand, I'm not my head. I'm more subtle, I'm not my mind, and that's all material. And they try to come to the right conclusion. It can take many births. But this jnana yoga is also a yoga system. And it has two qualities. Cultivation of knowledge, and renunciation. But there's no action anymore. But after a long time, they come to the conclusion, I'm a soul, I'm not a body. And then they think, no, I want to experience to be a soul. I want to have the experience. And then they become yogis. They go to the next step, yogis. And the yogis, Ashtanga Yoga, Yam, Niyam, Ashan, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharan, and up to Samadhi, that they are practicing. And this practice of yoga has three qualities. It's also in knowledge. You must know you are a soul, not a body, because you want to experience the soul. And there is some knowledge that I'm not a body, that can lead to liberation. It's not self-realization, liberation, just a stage that. And there's a third characteristic, it's meditation. They meditate on the super soul in the heart. And that is what Krishna says, the highest yogi, yoginam apisarvam madhyam pratmam bhajte yamam te me yuktatamatmata. Highest yogi is one who finds me in the heart, but then he must develop love for me. So these yogis, when they find the Paramatma in the heart, then what do? It's nice to see Paramatma. You can say bye. And they understand also the Paramatma is a controller of material nature. What happens? You stay here, that's all. Then they must come to the understanding, what is this Paramatma? Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, I'm Paramatma. It's an expansion of Krishna. So then they must go to the next stage in the yoga ladder and become a bhakti yoga. And devotional service has 5 characteristics. It is action. The soul must be active. It's completely renounced because the devotees know everything belongs to Krishna, not to me. So I'm not attached, it's all to Krishna. And I use it in his service. It's renunciation. Knowledge, full knowledge of who Krishna is, who we are, and what our relationship is. And it is meditation also. And it has a 5th aspect, devotion. That's the complete yoga, has 5 qualities. And you need that devotion to go back to the spiritual world. That's your passport. Without that, you cannot go. So I try to explain all this. This is explained in the 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, 5th chapter, 6th chapter. I gave an overview of the first 6 chapters, which is not easy to understand, and I hope only that my explanation helped you to understand that a little more deeper. And yeah, I hope I did not confuse you. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments? We have 2 minutes.
In Jnana Yoga, you said knowledge and what is the second one?
Renunciation.
Renunciation.
Jnana Yoga. Yeah, they want they want to know that, they want to realize I'm not this body. So they want to give up the body and all the connections. They want to renounce it. But it's an illusion, this kind of renunciation, because these jnanis, they want to give up not only their body, but also their house, their wife, they say, I'm giving up my house, my wife, my children, my possessions. But it's wrong, because nothing is theirs from the beginning. We don't have nothing to renounce. It belongs all to Krishna. It's based on the body concept of life. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Yeah, maybe there's one last question. Yeah. Please. Say it again.
Maharaj, you mentioned that one of the points that if you do your duty, there is no karma. You can expand on that.
Yeah, you must do your duty out of a sense of duty. Mostly people in this world, they're going to do something, they're accepting a job to get a salary. They will not accept a job without getting the salary. They have a motivation. But that should not be, the salary may be there, but that should not be the motivation of our actions. Therefore, a devotee may get a salary, but he does his job not for the boss. He does it for Krishna. You don't have to tell your boss, but internally, you must do it for Krishna, and therefore it must be first class. It's an offering to Krishna. It's internally our motivation to do things that makes the difference. That Krishna consciousness means changing our desire. Instead, the desire to exploit a lower energy via higher energy, that's our problem. We become overwhelmed by this lower energy. Instead of doing that, we should connect with the higher energy. And we connect with our desires. The soul desires that if the soul desires to exploit this world, you get karma. If you act out of love for Krishna without asking something in return, no karma. That's the essence. Yeah. Thank you very much. That's Shantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.